and welcome to episode 3 of Coffee with the Councilwoman. I'm Councilwoman Denise Ridley, Councilwoman for the Ward A section of Jersey City. I'm joined today by David Crowder. Mr. Crowder is the president of the Triangle Park Neighborhood Association here in Ward A. So David, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining us today. Let's talk a little about you.
First and foremost, I'm a proud father of one. Beautiful little lady. She's 14 years old, and she's everything to me. And she's my motivation for getting much of what I get done. It's nice to have someone that motivates you, and she's definitely it. She pokes me and prods me every step along the way, and I think it allows me to keep going. I'm a local business owner, as you know. I own 2 stores here in Jersey City, a local convenience store and a clothing store. The address is 10A Rose Avenue. Both stores are at 10A Rose Avenue. They're side by side to each other. The store is Castle Variety, and the clothing store is Icons Apparel. And I've been there now, come November 1st, it'll be the beginning of my 8th year at that location.
Awesome.
When I first got here, the neighborhood association did not exist. We didn't have one here. And I've never lived in any part of Jersey City, nor any other place where there was not a neighborhood or block association. So one of the things I was asked by people outside of the area was, now that you're up there, are you going to be part of the neighborhood association or the block association? I said, well, they don't have one. There's other blocks around me that have one, so I'm thinking on creating one. They said, well, I think you already know what to do.
Talk to me about some of the things that the neighborhood association has accomplished and some of the programming that's taking place here at the Triangle Park Neighborhood Association really community center.
Some of the people who made all of this come together. I mentioned Jersey City Episcopal.
Yes.
Very, very important in getting the center up and running here. And again, I can't emphasize enough when I say I really believe it was a godsend for them to put it here in Triangle Park. It was needed and it came at the right time. Sherlyn Williams is our secretary, okay, and as well as Ms. Freeman, who's our treasurer. And we just seem to keep things going. And a very, very pivotal part of that is what happens here now at the center. You've met one very phenomenal person I'm going to mention, and that's Monica. Monica is the coordinator here, and she's sort of like our superwoman. She's gotten a lot done.
Definitely.
And in addition to that, we had another subgroup formed, which is Friends of Triangle Park, in the efforts to get everything up and running with the park. And as you have wonderfully helped facilitate, we're going to be getting a new park.
Yes, definitely.
That's taken about 2 years in work, but finally we got grants for new trees, and we're just looking forward to it. A lot of that got slowed down by COVID, but we do understand that the process is moving along. It has gone out to bid. I think we do have a contractor now, and we're simply just waiting for a start date. Here at the center, they do a lot of different programs. They do the day camp for the children. We've done health screenings. The association has assisted in doing job fairs, which I headed with different groups. We brought jobs to the community by way of job fairs. We have Thanksgiving coming up shortly. For the last 2 years now, we've had meals available on Thanksgiving Day. We'll be feeding the public. We'll be doing it again this year. The center has also done toy giveaways during Christmas, which is also coming up soon. Halloween parties, you name it. As you can look around the center, we have a lot of drawings and a lot of artwork here. They've had art exhibits here. They've had activities for seniors, knitting, crocheting, all different types of things that happen here. And for me to be a part of it all, on an ongoing basis, and to bring activities to this community that the community did not have here prior, and to come here and help the community by offering myself as a liaison between City Hall and the community and the things that go on here is pretty amazing, and being able to work with you. We've had flea markets in the park. For the last 2 years, we've had movies in the park.
Yes.
Also, which is, provided by the city. And prior to that, Triangle Park never had movies in the park. So we've been able to work with cultural affairs and facilitating those type of activities. We've been able to work with our local precinct and the community affairs people at the precinct as well. We have a great relationship with.
What would be your advice to residents who are interested in starting their own block association, neighborhood association? How do they start that process? Where should they begin?
As president of the neighborhood association, I'm part of another organization known as GNA. GNA is the Greenville Neighborhood Alliance. The president is Sandra Lovely. She's been quite an amazing person. And I should have mentioned her name also at the onset, because when we first decided we wanted to start a neighborhood association, she was one of the people who reached out to us as well. Well, she's a pretty amazing person too.
Yes, she is.
And she gets so much done in Greenville. My advice would be, if you're thinking about starting a neighborhood association, if you're thinking about starting a block association, and you know someone, reach out to them. They can reach out to you because you know all of us. And you're constantly engaging us so that you know what's going on here. It's neighborhood associations and block associations that give our council people, I want to call it real-time feedback in terms of what's going on the ground. Because as a councilwoman, your job in Ward A is pretty large, and you're in a very busy ward. So I have to look at my job very seriously all the time as president of a neighborhood association, and we're constantly looking out there, outside, to see if we can help other neighborhood associations and block associations get started, because we know the more feedback we have in little pockets here, little pocket there, the more feedback we have to get back to you, that's more feedback you have to get back to City Hall and to the councils at large, the entire government that makes up our city government, that can get back into the neighborhoods and fix whatever problems that have to be fixed. We're everyday people that just want to see what's best for our neighborhood. We want lower crime, we want better streets, we want better services. We want what's right for our neighborhood, and we want what's right for our city. And that pushes us forward constantly. So 147 Old Bergen Road, we're a good place here.
Yes, you definitely are.
We have a lot going on, and we're really happy about what we have going on here. It's sometimes almost, the way it all came together, sometimes out of a fairy tale, but it did come together, and we're really happy about that.
Great, and I'm really happy you're here.
How do you, given all the responsibilities, and you have a lot of responsibilities here in Ward A, how do you deal with the everyday responsibilities that you have to deal with here in Ward A in your personal and private life? How do you go about separating the two?
Sometimes it's difficult. It merges together, right? But just speaking particularly to what you were saying about COVID, that was a big change for all of us. Because as a council person, your schedule is busy, right? So even after you finish your day in the office, there's something going on at night, or you're heading to a community meeting, or you're meeting with residents. You're always doing something. So there was a big slowdown. The work didn't necessarily slow down, but the interaction with the residents slowed down. And, we had to regroup and figure out how can we reach out and touch people without actually reaching out and touching them. We had our Ward A quarterly meeting since I've been in office. Well, I can't bring a bunch of people together now, so what am I going to do? So now we have a Ward A quarterly newsletter that goes out. we had to adjust how we get information out to people.
Yes.
So we can't rely on that meeting anymore. So now I have little separate meetings about different development that's going on in the ward or specific topics. I have been doing webinars now on social media, on Facebook. We did a webinar related to COVID in the middle of, the height of everything, where I had a bunch of doctors come on with me from throughout the country. That's the wonders of technology now, right? So we have these doctors from all over, Black doctors, that came on and spoke about COVID in general and the impact of COVID on the African American community. So we had the census go on during this time. So I did a webinar on the census. So that was how I tried to address and am still trying to address, even this right here, Coffee with the Councilwoman, trying to address reaching out to residents and having them still feel like we are connected. And personal life, it always overlaps, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, yes, it's a job, quote unquote, being
Yes.
a council person, but I take a personal responsibility and a personal connection to that job because this is where I'm from. And this is the area that I've grown up in. So for me to represent that area is a personal thing. It's always going to be personal, even if I should have to split the two. But you definitely have to learn to take some time for yourself and reboot.
Yes.
That's what I've learned. And I've also learned that this COVID impacts everyone differently.
What is your relationship with the mayor? I know that's kind of personal, but what is your relationship with City Hall outside of yourself?
Okay.
And I just want to throw one little thing in there too. We lost a city council person
Yes,
to COVID.
we did.
So it hit us all really hard.
Yes.
So if you could elaborate.
We had 2 council members that had COVID
Yes.
and went into the hospital. Council member at large, Rolando Lavaro, and Councilman Michael Young, unfortunately, passed away due to COVID. So that was very hard on the council. I think a lot of times people see us and they mostly see us at meetings. And sometimes we have differences in opinions, but I don't think they really realize how much we actually do care for each other. Like if you see us in the office and then you see us up on the dais, it's really different. We're eating together. We know each other's families. We're concerned when something's going on with someone's kid. So to lose a part of that was really like losing a family member.
Yeah.
When you are working together, that is a relationship that has to be nurtured and worked on. I think sometimes people get the impression that everyone just comes together and works together and do whatever the mayor says, and that just works, right? So that's not true, and I know that's put out there a lot. But there are a lot of times when we don't agree on things. But what I've learned and the type of person that I am is I have to make a conscious decision as a councilwoman. If I don't agree with something, am I then going to jump out the window and yell and scream about it and say I don't agree? Or am I going to go to him and say, hey, I don't really agree with this. Can we do this instead?
Yeah, I don't
or
like
did you
that.
think about this? Or did you think about that? Because he's human, right? Just like I'm human. So sometimes there's things that he hasn't thought about or things that I haven't thought about. And when you sit down and have that conversation, you meet somewhere in the middle. And then you're like, okay, well, let's do it this way. That way I still get what I need for my community. And I think that that's very important. It's very important to have those conversations. And I think that that's how our relationship works. And we've learned how to deal with each other. It's a process, It's 2 people with 2 different ideas coming together,
Yes.
2 very headstrong people. Well, he has to deal with 9 very headstrong people, right? Coming together. So if you don't have those conversations and that dialogue, then you miss out on a lot of things that can be really beneficial for the community. So that's how I choose to work, and that's how our relationship works, is we do our best to come together on what's best for the community at the end of the day.
Awesome. As we like to say, you're the real deal. And you've done so much, and you're so hands-on, you're so nice, you're so friendly, you're so everything. And it makes it easier for us to keep going because what you don't want out of government is for government to be this big lofty place that you have to go running up to, you know?
Yeah.
You want it to be something on the ground level where you are. And you want it to be something that's workable, something that's interchangeable, something that's user-friendly, if you will, in terms of the people you're dealing with and all of that. And so when you're dealing with all these people who are sort of on the street level with you, it does help facilitate a lot in the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for agreeing to meet with us today.
I
And
really
doing our third episode of Coffee with a Councilwoman. This has been awesome. We're here, Triangle Park, right here near Danford Avenue, Danford and Rose, in the Triangle Park Community Center with the Triangle Park Neighborhood Association President, David Crowder. This has been wonderful. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Until next time, we'll see you then.